Mm. Hello, hello. How are you? My name is Shamele, and I am the host of Genealogy Quick Start. Have you seen World War II in color? Today we have World War II on paper. Many have ancestors who served, but how do you access these more modern records? We're used to getting the dusty records, right? Did you hear also that there's a huge loss with these records where they're stored at? Don't get Jim Beidler started over the carelessness of why we lost so many records. I mean, please, really do not get him started. Figuring out how to access World War II records and what's available is a specialty of our special guest today. Laurie Berdak Miller is an expert military researcher in St. Louis area where the National Archives houses these records. And she's, of course, my twin, which will become immediately obvious to you. How are you today? And welcome to Genealogy Quick Start, YouTube, Facebook, Philly Cam. It is so nice to have you here. Whether you are watching live or in replay, let us know where you are. Announce where you are. Announce your surnames. You might have a cousin that's watching as well. And if you're a member of a genealogy group, let us know. There might be some souls out there that are looking for people to hang out with and talk all that ancestor stuff that their family really doesn't want to hear about. So they want to hear about it, the finished product. They don't want to hear all about all the stages. That's what my cousin said. I don't need to hear all the little steps. Just send me the pictures of the papers. All right, let's bring my buddies on. Let's first, before they come on, I didn't tell you the title. So we have two quick starts today. One is searching for World War II veterans. We all want to do that. And the other one is securing the source. Okay, we get a lot of sources, but is your source secure? Let's bring my buddies on. Here we have Jim Beidler covering his face. Hey, Jim. Editor and columnist Jim Beidler, author as well, like many books, as well as my buddy, my newest buddy out of the two, Michael John Neill of Genealogy Tip of the Day. How are you guys?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Shamel?
I'm good. So sources are really huge. You know, that's what we're all about, collecting all those sources. And so what happens is we get so many, and it's important to organize them. My cousin Floyd said, yeah, I know you're getting started, but you need to figure out how you're going to organize all this stuff, or you're going to waste money getting the same record again and again. So before you tell them how to secure it, how do you organize your sources when you get them? Do
Well,
you use the I think there's like two methods, right? Surname versus category. So how do you do it?
I'm a surname guy.
Okay.
So, yep.
So why do you like surname better than a category?
It must be the way my brain is wired, and I can't wait to hear Michael's wise crack on that. But as I was doing my genealogy, I would create and this is back in the analog literal file folder era, and I'd create a file folder with that surname about the family, and then as the maternal lines of that family that I'd get more information on them, then I'd split that off into another folder, and now I have with those main files, I still have a whole filing cabinet drawer of them.
So Michael, why is that absolutely the worst way to
I,
organize your
you
sources?
know, when we talked about this before, that isn't how I thought he was going to describe it. It really isn't that. Seriously, the paper clips that are used to wire his brain must be better paper clips than I thought. But that's a really good way. I organize it by person, which is by surname.
Binder clips, Michael. Binder clips.
You're going to shock yourself. I organize it by person. Or surname, kind of depending upon the quantity of material that I have. In terms of tracking what you've done, I track that by location because I have locations that I have tremendous numbers of people in, and so that's for me a more efficient way of tracking what I've looked at. But in terms of the papers, organizing it by family or individual is a pretty good way to go. The main thing is you're consistent in terms of how you do it without going into that whole lecture, because that's not our intent today.
Well, I'm going to say that both of you guys are wrong.
Of course you are.
100%. Actually, no, I'm going to say you're possibly wrong, because I think how you organize your source is about how you work. You said it, Jim, how your brain works. And for my brain, surname sucks, right? I got really hung up when the woman got married. I got really hung up with where to put stuff. Like I didn't want the woman to be split up. When you have a Fraser, like first they were like, use your four grandparents, and you do that. And then it was just like a mess. So I am not a surname person. I am a category person, because when I think that I need to go into my records, I think about it by a record type. I need a marriage. I need a death. I need a so-and-so. So I use the category system, and I think we should probably do quick starts on that in the future.
That might not be a bad idea, because there's another way that I organize part of it that we haven't talked about.
Okay. If you guys want to hear about how to categorize and organize your records, let us know. Let's see who we have here today. Oh, Kathy has beat everyone. Hello, Kathy from Ohio. Hi, Paula from West Deptford. Hi, Shanna from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Sharon Gillens is a researcher there. Hey, Quint from Cleveland. Hello, Linda from Florida. Sun City Center. Oh, I like that. Sun City Center. That's a lot. Sun City. I live in Sun City Center, Florida. Hello, June from Shaker Heights, Ohio. I love saying Shaker Heights. And hey, Denise I'm going to be an expat in the Netherlands with Denise. Denise, send me some links of some nice neighborhoods that I might want to live in. Hello, Julie. Yes, organization. We all need to know how to organize in Massachusetts. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All righty. Hey, Dean, I was wondering where you were. Now we can get started. It's a party now because Dean Henry is here from AAGG in Philly. Any Philly researchers, check out AAGG. So let's go ahead and get started. What's our quick start for today? Our quick start is they don't remember.
Sourcing the source or securing the source. I knew it began with an S.
Source. Yeah. So what is this all about? What's securing the source even mean?
Well, it really, especially when we use indexes that pop us right on the record, it's important that we know where we got it, who created it, some of the original organizational structure. And typically a lot of the indexes that we have, not all of them, will just take us right to that item. And we don't often know what book it came from, what county it was created in, who made it, those kinds of details. And in order to analyze it effectively, and so that we know what the schmeck we've located, and so we don't locate it a different way and waste time or money, we need to find that information out when we actually have the image up on our screen, if we can.
Money and time. So let's look at what is our first step for securing the source. So step one is, of course, to find the document. So let's look at what you found here. You have can
we find it?
No, I'm just kidding. I got
it. You were keeping us in suspense there, Shamele.
Hey, I gotta find it where I can. So what's this we have here? Looks like a register of death. Yay!
That's exactly what it is. It's a death register from Illinois, and the item of interest was on the top of the page. This was a nice one. It's got the page number. We've got to make sure we get more than that, but the page number of the ledger or register is a start. Not all documents will give us that, but if they do give us that, we want to make sure we have that. You might have to go, we've found the documents the first step, but we're going to backtrack and get some of that other information to help us identify it a little more completely.
Okay. So yeah, you can see like when you look at it, you don't know like where the place is really. It's just like,
because the county and state isn't stamped on top. If you look in the individual entries, it's clear, but the county and state is not stamped on top of in this example is not on there.
Exactly. And here's another one. What's this document we're looking at?
This is an inventory from an estate settlement about late 19th century.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's an inventory of the items in the estate. I think this is the real estate. But again, this is one piece of paper. We ideally try to find out where this came, and don't just say, I got it on the internet. That's not what we're talking about.
That's not going to work.
There's a lot of things on the internet. So you save that image that you get. You want to save it so you have it in case you can't find it again. But then we're going to backtrack into some of that additional documentation material.
All right, so we found this document, we're excited. We've done our part, we've done our dance, we've emailed it to everyone, we've shared it to everyone. And now we want to do this, is capture the page number.
Are you sure?
I don't know why I can't see anything today, but we want to capture the page number. And this is where I'm a little confused now, Michael. Which page number are we capturing? This 173? Is this image number up here important? Like
the image? Now the page number from the, why am I pointing? Because you can't see me point. The 173 is the page number in the original ledger, and that's what you want to capture so you know where it was in the original. When we did the screenshots, this came off of Family Search. It's not always a bad idea to retain that image number.
Right.
In theory, that could somehow change at some point, but probably not in the near future. So then I could backtrack to that image right away. If for some reason, like I sent this to somebody to be used as an example in a presentation, and they said, where'd you get it or whatever, I could zippity-doo-dah and go right to that, which is what I did when you asked me questions about it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of capturing that image number with the film. So we'll be film and
because
then
I've got all that information there, and the page number might not be legible on the page. Like I'm thinking of land records, you may have to go a few images before and after to get the page number and kind of do the math on that. Not every page is numbered, or they might have cut the corners off, it might have faded, whatever, but move around until you can figure out what the page number was of that document.
Okay, and that one was that one. That's the death. And this is the probate record.
This was for the probate. And again, different
what are we
records
capturing here? Like there's no number usually for an endorsement.
No. And there is a file number after. That does not mean no, like we're mad. That's the number. And there is there is a file number there after that. It's just really faint and is not showing up in the image. But these are loose. In this case, those are loose papers. And that inventory we saw was one of those loose papers contained within this packet. And so this also makes a good point of knowing how the records are organized or structured. All that was one of those loose papers in this packet. So I need to know what packet it was in, what folder of stuff it was in. So I can make a really good citation, which we're not going to talk about today. But even if I don't make a good citation, I can at least make a kind of okay citation if I've got the packet with that number on it. Because then that tells me where it was where it was filed, where it was originally created, probate court in this county, and what the estate was, and other details as well are on that cover.
And plus, these are going to be in these loose papers the original documents.
Exactly.
As opposed, probably each one of these documents in a probate file is probably also recopied in a will book or a inventories book, petitions to the probate court or whatever. But these are the primary documents that you want to have. And so generally they are not going to be paginated throughout the probate file. So what Michael's showing you there is the slip page or the cover page with the file number, and then anything within that is going to be a part of that file.
Right, and in this case, there are papers that were not recorded. There's receipts and a variety of documents. Some of the bills that were submitted to the estate, they weren't recorded. They paid it, but there's not a record copy of that. And so this is the only place to get at some of those records. Your comments about pagination are really well noted. These are just they were microfilmed and digitized in the order in which they happen to be in the packet on that day. And so one of the things we do if we're going to cite it, that one that we saw, there was a title in, that's why you want to get the whole image on that document Shamele showed us. There was why am I doing that? There was a title in real small print at the top of it explaining what document it was. It was the inventory of the estate. So that might be our title, because we don't have, these are all loose papers. And as Jim mentioned, they're not, there's no page numbers to those things. So the title of the document can kind of help serve as a page number. Not really, but roughly, without
And
going into
especially that
citation
number,
period.
like on this one, it's really hard to see.
It is. If we had zoomed in on it, it's 1:30.
Oh yeah,
it's 1:30
it's really
something.
light.
Yeah, it's real faint, but that's a box number.
But to me, that's like the key number when you're looking at these probates, right? It's easy to get back to it when you see that. Okay, so we've found the document, we've captured the page number, and so our next step is to get the context of the document. What on earth does that mean?
We don't have an image for. I thought there were some images for this. Just that you want to get who created it, when it was created.
I like to stress you out sometimes.
I know you like to stress me out sometimes. But this was a probate, so it's to settle up the estate. This one
is for the death.
Right. This is with the death, and I wanted to know the book it was from. And so the arrow pointing down, this was on Family Search, and I had kind of backed out so I could see more of the images. The one you're wiggling there where the arrow's pointing down, that was the image I had saved from that death certificate. And then I just slowly like to go up and get to the what they call the title card. Sometimes it may be a picture of the spine of the book or the front cover of the book, so you know what book that was in. So the one where it's pointing up tells me it wasn't the cover of the book, but it tells me death register, and it gives a year range. It says the courthouse it was at, then the title of the office in which the records were kept. So then I love
your analogy. It's just like researching a book. When you're at the library and you're researching a book, you get the cover page, you get the copyright page, you get the page that you're researching, and you get the chapter, first page of the chapter or something, table of contents or what have you. So it's kind of the same, would you say?
It's right. The main difference is these are a lot of these records are in books. They're unpublished. They're ledgers. But because they're this thing called books, they do often have a title and a cover. And usually that cover, the front of it, will have something about what it is. You're not going to have the copyright date and all that, but it will have something. Same thing with the probate paper. The arrow pointing down, that's the inventory that we saw. And then when I use these, it's not always as obvious where the front's at, but I wanted that cover packet. So I had to move a little more slowly until because I wanted to get the right cover packet. Because these images, when backed out, look a lot alike if you're not careful. Sometimes you can see the clear covers, but in this case, you've got to look very carefully to see those.
In my home county, Berks County, Pennsylvania, when their original probate files were microfilmed by Family Search, they obviously had previously been in paper file folders, and they took a shot of that paper file folder with the name of the deceased and the year of the probate, maybe also the township that they were from. And so that's what passes for a cover sheet in those probate files. At least it's typed, so it's legible. But
easier to read. And that makes a good point. Things are going to be different in different locations, and you want to take time to understand how that set of records is similar to what you've seen before, and how it's a little bit different perhaps than what you've seen before.
And for whatever reason, there are some counties that these original probates weren't microfilmed, that you only have the rewritten will book copy of the will, and to other papers like that. And then that's your cue to know, yeah, I might have to actually communicate with the courthouse or go to the courthouse to get those originals. And it's important that you make an effort to do that.
Good reminder that Family Search doesn't have everything.
Yeah.
Oh, they sure don't. But they have a lot.
They have a lot, but they don't have a lot. Is not everything.
Is that a mathematical term left over from your previous professorial life, Michael?
That's only a postgraduate phrase. We're not going to have that long discussion today.
Step 4. Document the source. So what does that mean? I'm going to share screen.
Well, if you've done the steps, because this is that one image we talked about when it was really small. If you've done these steps, documenting your sources significantly easier because you've got the page, you've got the book. In this case, it's volume A, and I know where it was located. I got it on Family Search. So it's easier for me to create a site, even if I don't make it in the technically correct format. It's easier for me to get a citation that has all the appropriate content if I've gone through and done these steps.
And it's also important, it's also important to capture the date that you captured it. It's kind of like capturing the edition of that record online. Cool. I love that. Document the source. So step 5. Or did you have something else?
Another reason for doing that before we go to step 5 is so you don't, as we said before, so you don't use the same thing again. You got those loose papers. You knew they were from the packets or the case files, like Jim mentioned. And then if there are ledgers that he also mentioned, and you haven't seen those, oh, that I got from the loose packet. Maybe I should go look at the ledger because that isn't what I was looking at. You don't look at the same thing twice. You don't win more points in genealogy looking at the same thing twice.
Really?
Really. That's why you organize things too. That's a separate lecture. But
you guys have any questions about documenting the source while we go on to the next step? Definitely put them in the comment area, and we'll address those. But definitely capture the date. It really kind of makes a difference that you're capturing the source. So step 5 is then to go ahead and analyze what you got.
And in the context of that capturing the date, and I may have had a brain freeze here, but I'll point it out again if Michael already did, that there are cases when the page you're looking at does not have a date on it. I find this in particular in like proceedings of various county courts, that they'll date it the March term of 1842, but that's 5 pages back, and then they were just hearing all these petitions, and so on the page that you're looking at, there may be no date at all, and so you have to get shots of both those pages, or at least make a note of what that date is 5 pages back.
That's a good point, because that's what brought up. When you mentioned doing this topic, you'd seen something. It was a declaration of intent from Kentucky, and this dude and 2 other German dudes said, we're going to declare our intent to be citizens, and that's all it said. And I found it because it was, heaven forbid, unindexed, and I had to go this thing called page by page, but I found it, and then I had no idea when it was. So like Jim said, I had to go back, I think 3 or 4 pages in this case, at the March term of the court, keeping in mind courts didn't meet every day or every week, might have been 4 times the quarterly terms in some cases, but that helped me tie a date and time to that. The other record that also sometimes doesn't have is page numbers. Might be in some church records there aren't page numbers, because apparently that was, I don't know what evil thing that was to put a page number for some pastors, but apparently it was. And that's when you want to indicate it's baptisms from 1805 or deaths from 1748 or whatever the case may be, to help you get back to it later and know what you were looking for.
And especially while we're talking page numbers and griping about some of the systems, some of the indexings of deeds, they'll go especially the ones that like use the key letter system, they'll tell you that you go to a certain page for that surname, but then there's going to be like 10 pages with that page number, because until it goes on to another key letter, and you're thinking, why am I still on page 3? Well, because you are. So because there were a lot of people named Smith that they needed to get on page 3. So.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I love it. All right, and so let's take a look at our steps for the quick start, and they are: for securing the source, you want to find the document, then you want to capture the page number, the image number, all numbers leading back to that document. Then you want to get the context of the document, followed by fully documenting the source. And then step 5, you want to go ahead and analyze the document. So you guys have any additional tips on securing the source, or how wrong you are with your surname organization
we're not gonna have that discussion right now, but it all goes back to the numbers. Make sure you get all those numbers, because they'll help you. The other reason why we do this is it saves time later if you do have to go back and look at it. If you want to get a better image or whatever, you've kept track of how you got there and what it was. You can't analyze it if you don't know what it was either.
That's right. That's right. You're creating a trail of breadcrumbs to make sure that you could retrieve it again. That's the key.
Or in Jim's case, a trail of paper clips to keep everything up here in circuit.
or short circuited for good.
There we go.
Guys, thank you so much. I think our sources feel pretty secure. I'm feeling secure every day. Hello, Teresa May from Memphis, Tennessee. Tennessee is like really hot now. Everybody I talk to is from Tennessee. Hi, Diane from Oregon. Yeah, Jenny, I love when they fight. They're really cute, aren't they? Hi, Benita from Apex, North Carolina. I live at the Apex. I want to be able to say that one day. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next quick start. See you on the other side. Hello. Excuse me. Give me 1 second to put up the little show you my twin. All right. Let's go ahead and get started with the second quick start. And wow, World War II. Do you have any World War II ancestors or uncles or people you're looking up? How do you know where to get those? And can you get them? What do you have to be a descendant? What's going on there? So I know, you guys are really special to me. So I brought the best person I could find. Look at her. She's shaking her head to help you out. Here we have expert military research.
We're twins.
Yes, twin.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Laurie.
Hello, Shamele.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you have so many things going on in your life, but I really appreciate you taking the time out.
For you, anything.
So for each of our special guests, it's important to us to know, how did you get addicted? What is your 1-minute genealogy story?
Okay, 1 minute. Here I go. I started when I was in high school, when Soundex was still around, and there was no ancestry or anything. Just looking up on microfilm and microfiche. I was trying to find my dad's side of the family that was Slovak. And so I learned all those little tricks and trades, going to the library, looking through books and everything. And my dad died when I was in high school, but he was in the Air Force. And so I've always been interested in military items. So later on, after I got married, I was in genealogy organizations before that. And while I was married, my husband was wanting me to get a job eventually after our daughters got old enough. So the record center, NARA St. Louis, is opening to the public. So I thought, this is my niche. I love doing genealogy, helping people, and I love military. And so I was one of the first people in the research room in St. Louis and put my name on the list, and been doing it since 2006 and love it.
What I hear is that such an honor to be able to be in that location and do research.
Yeah, it will be an honor again whenever they reopen, but
So
right.
they're currently closed, Laurie.
Yes, they have been closed since last March 13th, and there is no idea when they will be reopened to public research again.
So
And there are some
basically
things online, but you need the files, the paper files.
So basically, for right now, we are preparing for the future.
Yes, we are preparing, and this will give you time to get all your background information together. So when the Record Center does reopen, you can make your appointment for your orientation and go in and make sure they have the files, and then you can start doing research too.
Yay.
And I will be there to help you. If you come in and I'm there, don't hesitate to talk to me outside of the room.
And she will help you outside the room.
So I don't get in trouble for talking.
All right, let's get going with your quick start,
Alrighty.
Laurie. So this is Searching for World War II Veterans with Laurie Berdak Miller. And so step one is to obtain the veteran's military details. And so what is the best way to do that, Laurie?
The best ways of doing it is if you have a copy of their discharge paper. I want people to realize, people think the term DD-214 deals with World War II. DD is the Department of Defense, which was not formed until the 1950s. So anything, including World War II, was under the War Department. So when you're looking for a discharge for World War II time, it's going to have WD, and then an AGO, and then a number associated with it.
Okay, so who's this handsome guy here? We're going to look at his discharge paper.
This is my father-in-law, Edward S. Miller. He was in the Army. He was a sergeant. He never shared his history. Like a lot of World War II veterans and a lot of people in the military won't share their history. So we were always trying to find out where he served. And thankfully, there was a little piece of paper in his in his wallet after he died. And then also, as you can tell from the condition of this was one that the archives had, but it was affected by the fire. And you can see little chunks and pieces out of here. It's not the best image whatsoever, but it does give you, if you look really carefully, it gives us the unit and it gives his service number. So what you want to do is have the full name of the veteran, including middle name. Ed didn't have a middle, he just had a middle initial, so that's why he's not Samuel or Stephen or anything. So so you want his full name, his service number if you can get it, his date of birth, his place of birth, because with that name, that's going to be a common name, so you need to be able to eliminate as many sources as you can to find his specific number.
Okay.
And then if you know his branch of service, of course, is always a big help too.
And this is the second part of it, the bottom half.
Yep. And then this will give you some, little clues in here. I wish this was but I want to be realistic with you because of the fire. A lot of the files were affected by it, so you're not going to get maybe a clear image. So what you need
we're going to talk about the fire stuff shortly.
Yeah, but if you have letters in your possession that maybe the service member wrote back to his family.
Laurie, are you jumping ahead of the quick start?
Sorry, I'm just so excited.
I know.
Okay, I will not say any more. I will not say any more.
Because you are so excited about what you do. That's why you want Laurie to help you.
Okay, so what would help you next, Shamele?
So what I was going to say is I've noticed there's so many people on here who have their dads. Hey, Manira, how are you? And I didn't say hi to Wayne and Grace Ann. How are you? C. Davis, how are you? Jenny has 4 uncles and a grandfather.
Oh, wow. And don't forget the women, too, in the military.
Oh, yeah. Denise has a Navy. We always leave the Navy out. Go, keep the Navy in ahead, MK Clark, 3 uncles. Wow. That sounds like the Sullivan. There was some movie with the Sullivan brothers. Let's see, C. Davis, Seville, CCC. Yep, that's a whole nother. And Dean has 4 uncles.
Four.
And one was in the Red Ball Express. Wow. What's the Red Ball Express, Dean? You got to put it in there so everybody knows what that is. Linda had a dad that was a gun runner and a brother in the Navy. Very cool.
Wow,
Very
a
cool.
lot of people.
So Manira wants to know, where do you get the discharge papers if you don't have them?
Well, when the veteran, when they retired, excuse me, when they got out of the service, they were told to go to the local courthouse where they lived to file a copy of that in the courthouse. So you might want to check that hometown to see if there happens to be a copy of that.
Okay.
And this, like I said, root through papers in the attic. You might stumble into something that you don't even know it's there, and then you'll find a discharge stuck into something else, maybe a family Bible even. I mean, you just don't ever know.
You never ever know. Okay, so you want to try to find that, or just it's really about getting the details. You never know where you might find those military details. So you want to check that out. And let's move on to step 2,
Okay.
which is to search for additional details online. So I love this little site. Tell us about what we're about to look at.
All right. This is a site on NARA.gov, NARA.gov. And if you put in the search feature AAD, this is accessing archival databases. So we see here that at the top, there's World War II. If you don't have a service number, this can help you find a service number. So you can enter the person's name. Like, see here, we have search on the second one. So you type in the person's name here, and then Shamele is nice enough doing one here, and then it will pull up people under that name. And here, the first column, we see Army serial number and the person's name. And this to guarantee that that is that person, you can cross-reference date of birth, the year of birth, and the location where they might have been from, like Pennsylvania. If you knew they were from Pennsylvania, and it's like most likely that is the veteran you're looking for. So this is a quick, easy reference of getting that service number.
And that's the serial number up here that we want?
Yep. We always call it this service number.
Service number, okay.
But you can also, there's another source you can send into, when you're at archives, they can look it up for you on the VA index. The Family Search has the World War I up to 1939 service number, VA index cards that you can get service number.
Okay.
But the other ones, due to Social Security numbers, you have to pay a charge, and the staff will look it up for you.
Okay.
But this is a great, cheap alternative. And you can also, and this is only concerning Army service numbers. You're not going to find Navy and Marine, which you can look on like Ancestry and stuff too and find those.
Okay. Why did we got the Navy and the Marines? Give me a break.
I don't know. Well, my dad was Air Force, so.
Oh my God. All right, let's move on to step 3.
All right.
Which is to search family archives. And we have another handsome guy here. Let's check him out.
Mr. Vernon Foster, my buddy. I met him up in Washington, D.C. He was a lieutenant in World War II in the tank battalion. And he knew so much about his story. He had all these pictures. The picture on the right is his wife, Dottie. And on the left is his wife on the left-hand side of the tank, and her girlfriend, who is married to an officer. And Vernon told me, technically, if that picture would have been seen by his higher beings, he would have been court-martialed because they were not allowed to go in there. And this was at the Tennessee Maneuver Grounds. And what I had done is, when I met Vernon, somebody told me he had all these letters that he wrote to his wife. So this is a copy of one of the letters that you can see at the top right. It says somewhere in England, and he's writing all these details. Of course, he had like some of their personal stuff together, and thankfully he had nice handwriting.
Yeah.
And this is beautiful. So I ended up spending a week up north of Baltimore and scanning about 800 images of letters, envelopes, and pictures that he took during World War II. And I'm thinking, just the detail that he had in this is just like incredible.
It's gorgeous.
Not all the letters were this clear to read, but most of them are. And this, with him narrating and telling me more of the story behind that, And this, because he's so well known in this Baltimore area about his World War II service. So you could, find out if family members have letters, like maybe your military member, your uncle wrote to his mom, and there'll be details on that. And for the person that had the 3 or 4 family members, if they were all brothers, maybe one brother can lead you on to another, like brother so-and-so is stationed here and did this and this and this, and you can use all that and pull it all together to get the information.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you definitely, a lot of them, what I hear often, didn't want to talk about it, but that doesn't mean that their stuff doesn't can't carry the memories.
That's right. That is great.
They just tucked it away.
They just tucked it away, tried to hide it.
So let's take a look at step 4, which is to then request information. So you provided us with a screenshot of the loss. So tell us about this fire.
All right.
Yeah.
I was actually 12 years old when this happened. The fire in 1973 was in July 1973. And they range about 17 to 18 million files got burnt on the 6th floor of the building, which was the old MPRC NARA building in St. Louis. And it affected mainly Army, Army Air Force, Army Air Corps records. The Marine and Navy and Coast Guard records might have gotten some water damage or maybe a few burnt, but for the most part, it was the Army and Army Air Force and Army Air Corps. As you can see here, it breaks down the percentages of losses from the time periods, which is very sad. I mean, they don't still know the cause of the fire. Some people thought it was an employee starting the fire. Somebody thought it was somebody that's throwing a cigarette accidentally in a garbage can on the 6th floor. I mean, this fire lasted for days. They called over like 50 fire departments in the St. Louis area to try to put this fire out. And then you had the water damage on these files too. So,
Wow.
but my thing is, even though you see it has that big percentage, I always say never. Put in a request, because I was doing research for somebody, and his 2 uncles, he was told their files to be stored in the fire. They had over 60 pages in each of them preservation was able to work with. So it's like, so you were lucky.
So
I'm not going to guarantee you might be that lucky, or else you might get one and there'd be like 10 or 15 pages. That preservation does such a great job, and it takes time. So don't think you're going to get it in a week. It could take weeks. And now I don't know what it's going to take to get stuff back from preservation. But like I said, never say never. Put in that request to MPRC, NARA St. Louis. And another thing I want to point out too is, even if your veteran served in World War II, say you think he got out in 1945, if he ended up being in the reserves for another 12 years, his record will not be archival. It will be on the MPRC side of the building. So this makes sure when you're requesting, it could be on either side of the building.
And who can request information?
For archival records that fall under the 62, can I go ahead and talk about this?
Yay!
Okay, there is a rule in NARA that is called the 62-year rule. So what you do is subtract 62 from this year, which is 2021, which makes it 1959. If the veteran got out of the service from today's date, 1959, so October 21st, 1959, anybody can look at that file. It's not protected by privacy rights. If they get out tomorrow's date, October 22nd, 1959, it is still in possession of MPRC and that branch of service, and it will not be archival till tomorrow. So always remember that 62-year rule whenever. And if you are not, if it is archival, anybody can get it. If it's not archival, it's MPRC, it can only be next of kin, spouse, siblings, parents. It can't be grandparents, it can't be stepchildren, it can't be niece, it can't be nephew. Say, but I'm the only surviving relative and I'm the nephew. It's like, well, if it's not archival, sorry, Charlie, they're not going to give it to you. And you can put in a FOIA request and you'll get whatever the person does on the FOIA.
Okay.
So don't cry.
I know.
I know, because it
You
makes
just
it
have
hard
to
for,
wait till it's archival. That's
yeah,
all.
it makes it hard for these later wars like Korea and stuff. You can't look at those.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So let's take a look at the next step, which is then to analyze the records.
Yes.
And Lori has so many records. I said, Lori, oh my God. So let's go ahead and look at some
There's
of these.
never enough.
So first tell us what this is.
All right, so we know about the fire destroying all these Army records. Well, there is an alternative record source at St. Louis you can use, which is called the Microfilm Morning Report. If anybody ever remembers watching MASH on TV, Radar
Yeah.
O'Reilly was the clerk and he was always scribbling. He was the clerk that did the morning report. So the morning reports are the daily record of a unit. As we can see here, it has the date at the top. And then you have the unit of the person, and then the location of where the unit is. And then if you go down 3 names, you see my father-in-law, Miller Edward S., and his service number. And then at that time he was still a sergeant. And then you can trace people in morning reports. I've done this. Did this for my husband because I was tracing Ed's service as a gift because since with his file being destroyed in the fire, nobody knew exactly what he did. So you can trace him on and on. This is just the counts on the bottom part of how many people were enlisted at that date in that unit. So I pay more attention to the writing at the top.
Okay.
So you can if somebody does morning reports, I just want to warn them, they're not going to find I'm not going to find Ed's name every single day on there. It will be mainly if he got transferred, if he got a promotion, demotion, hopefully not go AWOL. If he got sick, he was killed in action, missing in action. And so morning reports, you have to be like a detective and you just go through the microfilm and just keep tracing and tracing and tracing and hope, that it got recorded correctly. And what was exciting for me for my Mr. Vernon Foster is he signed off on some of these morning reports for the meeting officer. So he was just like, oh, my handwriting. And Vernon was 101 when we were going over this stuff. So it was just like, it's neat. So the morning reports are a great supplement for lost files. And that's only, sorry to say, Navy and Marine. There's Navy deck logs up in DC and College Park. So you won't find those. These are just concerning Army, Air Force, Army Air Corps, and Air Force records.
So would you say the Navy ones are archival in DC and College Park, or they have the same rule?
I think most of them are open to the public. What I would do is I'd go to the NARA.gov College Park website. And what's nice there is I think you get in Archives 1 downtown, you get to pull your morning reports. In St. Louis, if you're like me, a local researcher, I have to wait to see if there's a table spot or that. If you're out of town, you get to make an appointment. But they pull the files every hour. You're only allowed so many rolls of film. And then if you go to the bathroom, you have to turn them back in. So
I missed that. I still miss all of that. That was just so much
and
fun.
everybody needs experience. And I just want to warn you, some of the morning reports are really clear and nice. Other ones are like blurred and you can't read them. But
so let's take a look at this one. This is another kind. What kind of record is this?
Well, this is actually Vernon's discharge paper. Because since he's so organized, he thankfully had a copy of his discharge. And I want you to note on here 2 things. Underneath his name, you see where it mentioned he was in the Ordnance Heavy Maintenance Company. Well, he was not, when he originally joined into the unit, he was in the 714th Tank Battalion. So when I'm pulling a morning report, Phil, I'm going, okay, so what was he in? So you're pulling films from this unit company, you're pulling him from his battalion, just see if you can find his name. So he might have been in this unit. Sometimes it will be the unit they entered in. Sometimes it will be a unit that they exited from. Sometimes it might be a unit he was only in for 3 days. So you're trying to jump all over on films, trying to track them.
And is there I know with Civil War they have the I didn't realize how wonderful the compiled military service record is because this is
and the VA pension files.
So there's no file that lists where the person went throughout their career? There's no index of a person?
No.
Okay.
What my trick for if you do morning report research is also St. Louis has a set of rosters on microfilm, but the rosters that were destroyed for 44 and 45 back in the 80s, they decided to downsize something or whatever, and they got rid of all those. The
Okay,
most
we're not going to
important
talk
years.
about getting rid of records. Okay, so this is cool. He was a teacher.
Yeah, he was a teacher. Yeah, and he decided to join the service, and so and then I confirmed on the roster to make so I could find out what unit he was actually in too. This to cross reference, even though he told me I wanted to make sure. So always use the rosters as a cross
And he had
reference.
2 children when he came out. That's pretty, or 2
Yeah.
dependents. Was it
Yeah.
1 child and a wife, or was it 2 children?
He ended up having 4 children total. So this was probably his wife and one more and his child.
Okay.
And he ended up being a dairy farmer when he got out of the service.
Okay, this is really cool. We got his little fingerprint there.
Yeah, and then like if you want to like where it lists his medals, if you're doing a medal box, like how some people like to display medals in the shadow boxes, you have a list of his medals there, and then you can go to like a medal supply store or there's organizations you can buy those medals to recreate the medals he had.
Oh, very nice.
Which a lot of
Okay.
people do, and that's what I did with my father-in-law because I have his picture, and then I have a friend that I always have will buy copies of the medals and put it with in his box and
So
stuff.
you can order these medals from somewhere.
Yeah, and there's like in St. Louis, there's a couple of like I don't know if I have to see if they're still in business that you can actually go there in person and you give them a copy of the discharge, and then they go in the back room and pull them and stuff, and you can make these nice little boxes and display
Oh, that's
your family
very
members. And
nice.
then if you got a great picture of them in a uniform, you can add that and.
Oh, that's very
Not that I work for
nice.
Michael's, but you can get nice shadow boxes at Michael's.
Yes, that's very nice. Did Vernon give you this picture? Did you find this within the records?
This is what I found when I was scanning all those letters and photos of his.
Okay, very cool.
This guy was very small. He's only like 5'2", so he said that sometimes he had to stand on his tank.
Wait, I thought he said he was 5'9".
He shrunk when I met him. Yeah, he was when I met him. He was more like 5'2". Because I'm thinking he was a cutie. He's like, Vernon, I think you lied about a lot of things on here. I don't think so because when I met you, I think you were like maybe 5'2" and 200 pounds. And
Usually
being in
it's
a
a
wheelchair.
couple of inches, not a whole. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
Vernon.
yeah, I know Vernon. I don't know about you. And then this is a morning report. See how it says here he was in the 714th Tank Battalion. So if you were thinking he was with that unit on his discharge, you're not going to find him completely.
So let me just ask this about the morning report, since they seem like they're like an alternative.
Yeah.
Are you searching them by unit or you're searching them by unit by unit?
By unit. So that's why it's important if you can get the unit's name.
But then it's clearly changing.
Yeah, and that's where the trick comes in because you have to pay attention when you're doing these morning reports because they might jump from, and you might not catch them because you're just flipping through and like, okay, I don't see his name, I don't see his name, I don't see his name. Or else it might be a 2 pages that were copied on the morning report that was a list of transfers. So you have to look really carefully.
You okay. And so the goal is to look until you see them, because if they're going to be moving out to another place, they're going to definitely most likely show up in a morning report. And that's how you keep track. Okay.
And what's nice is you might have
a morning report quick start. So it would be first get the.
Yeah, and if you get somebody that's with it the whole time, it's like, hallelujah, you did not move, you did not skip, you did not do this, you did not do that.
So basically, Laurie, with the morning reports, they're starting with the closest to our present time, because that's what we see on the discharge, what he said, like 87th ordinance. And then we're going to look through all of those morning reports until he's transferred out, see where he went, and then you go and find those morning reports. Okay. Very cool. I love morning reports.
It's good. And like I told Shamele, I ended up making a book for my husband with all these morning reports. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, yeah.
This is it with all of his morning reports and stuff. So
I love that. Did you jump ahead? I think you did. It's okay. Document and share findings. So that's great. So you put the morning reports in there. Did you put pictures of the medals in there as well?
On Ed's, I didn't, but what I did is because since I had the camp's names that he's Camp Crowder in Missouri that he started at, and so I went to their website and they had some great graphics I could put in there, like of people training and stuff. And then he came out of Fort Dix, so then I went like and copied stuff from Fort Dix and added that supplement stuff with it. So they had, so my husband could have like additional information on them.
So who got copies of the book?
Well, my husband was the one that was honored to get the copy because it was his Christmas gift. But my brother-in-laws especially were jealous that they did not get a copy of it. And I said, "You did not marry me. You did not get it." So
the benefits of marrying a genealogist.
I know, and they might make fun of me, but who gets the benefit? My husband. And it's fun, people. So all I can say is just be patient. As detective work, gain the files, and also and then, like I said, the Navy, Marine, and Coast Guard files are all intact. The Navy, all three of those normally will have an enlistment photograph in it. And Coast Guard will have a negative too, and the Navy sometimes will have a negative. And archives can blow it up onto a CD, and you can pay for a copy of that.
Very cool.
And that's what's in there, full in detail. So.
Any questions for Lori? So let's see. MK Clark says, I think I can show this. She says, so you're saying that the morning reports are only available by going in person?
Yes, the archival staff will not take the time to do them. Or you find somebody like me and I will help you do them. But yeah, there's at this time, I mean, there's no way they could digitize them. That these films were made from the paper copies in the 1950s, and they are so fragile. I mean, for somebody to come in and try to make copies and put it like on Ancestry or Family Search.
You have a fan, Lori.
That's because I do Zumba too.
All right, Lori, let's look at your quick start. Michael Strauss, how are you?
Oh my gosh, Michael.
That's who said you had the energy, Lori, Michael.
Hi, Mike. We'll see you soon. See you in a couple months.
All right, let's look at Lori's wonderful quick start for searching for World War II veterans. Step 1 is to obtain the veterans' military details. Step 2 is to search for additional details online. Step 3 is to search family archives. You never know what might be there. Step 4, request information from St. Louis. Step 5, analyze those records, analyze what you can get. And then step 6 is to make sure that you document and share the findings, because everyone should benefit from being married to a genealogist. Wouldn't you say, Lori?
That is true.
Michael, is your wife benefiting?
I'm not sure.
Is Terry benefiting? So the one question that I didn't ask you, Lori,
yes, ma'am,
is, are you a surname person or a category person when you organize your paperwork?
Surname.
Oh, you guys are all wrong. You're all wrong. I'm going to convert all of you guys at some point. Lori, we really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Do not stop off when I say goodbye to everyone. Everyone, thank you so much for your energy today. I think Lori inspired some energy. We really appreciate you being here. Jim and Michael, as always, you guys are you're the bomb diggity to go back a decade. You're the bomb diggity. Everyone, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.